Welcome back.
Yay!
And this is technically week 15
Yes.
of the Crazy Beautiful podcast. It has been another crazy, beautiful week. Like, seriously crazy, beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's me, Mom, and Kiara here today. So we're going to get into it. We're going to start with prayer.
Yes.
Does anybody feel led to pray? Or would you guys?
I can lead prayer today.
Awesome. Go for it.
God, we just thank you so much for this time that you've given us. We ask that you come into our presence today and just really move your hand over our conversation, soften our hearts, and soften the hearts of our listeners to be able to take in what you have planned for us today, God. We just thank you so much for blessing our listeners and helping our words through what you have planned for us to say today, God, to really help them through this week. And we just thank you so much for what we're going to be talking about, what will be revealed. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. So let's get into it. How was you? Before we came on, we always talk a little bit about how our week was, but we really didn't get into how everybody's week was this week. And how was everybody's week this week?
I have to think about it. This week has gone fast. I think what's coming to a head and a notice is that with the COVID-19 and the protests and everything that's going on, we have been somewhat kind of just entrapped, I feel, and feeling like, it's like an exhausting feeling. It's like your dad said, he said, I just feel really tired. And I said, you need some vitamin D, and for me, it's an acknowledgement of change. Like, as you know, with my niece, we had talked about it a little bit on our last broadcast. And now it's the acknowledgement of the change of even funeral arrangements. It's not even something that is brought up at this point of how things are going to be carried out for any type of coming together, whether, virtually, how it's going to be done or if it's going to be done. But the one thing that I can say is that with the love that we continue to carry out for each other, it has been a blessing.
Amen.
With my brothers and my sisters, we text each other every day, and I tell them, because you see, my family, my brothers and my sisters, the closest in age is 13 years, and that's with Auntie Pat. And all the rest of them are older. And Nikia was my oldest brother's daughter, and he has been opening up and sharing pictures and just different things, and I'm sitting here like, wow, because these are things that I didn't know. Because I felt like I really wasn't a part of that family. You know what I'm saying? I was the Lone Ranger on the farm by myself because
You just sounded like Kevin Hart. Me all day. No, like, go night night. You're like, oh.
Picture of like Pollyanna in my head.
Yes.
In the Midwest.
Even
For
now.
some reason in the 1930s. That's a fact.
But yeah, that's just my week, and going through things of understanding, and I'll let Kiara, if she wants to highlight on it. It's a post that you had sent the family. It was about the the Confederate monument and the moving of the Lee Monument into place on May 10th, 1890. And it was so interesting because the title of it was the Confederate flags on every hand, the stars and stripes entirely ignored. And it was very interesting. I thank God for His Word and what came through for me, because in Colossians 3:15 it states this: and let the peace, soul harmony which comes from Christ rule, act as umpire continually. And this is the amplified version. In your hearts, deciding and settling with finality all questions that arise in your minds in that peaceful state, to which as members of Christ, one body, you were also called to live and be thankful, appreciative, giving praise to God always.
Amen.
And
Amen.
Just brings to mind for me a young lady and her brother and friend of theirs. She just dropped off her furniture here in our house, and we were talking to her and her brother and the young man, and the conversation came up about the monuments and the different things that are going on, because here we live and outside of, we're on the outskirts of Richmond, so of course we get the news,
Or drive down there. Some of us.
yeah, some of us, but it's just interesting to see a understanding, because Dad was out there talking to them, and also I was talking to them about knowing who you are.
Yeah.
Knowing who you are as a child of God, to be able to stand regardless of what is going on, knowing that your finality is your graduation.
Amen. Amen.
So this.
Yeah, that post. Oh.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that post was kind of interesting, because I was not looking for a post about Robert E. Lee statue. I actually wasn't looking for anything about the statue. I had found a really old picture about there's a sign that's downtown Richmond that is posted about a man who was a slave who, after he was freed, started a newspaper in Richmond, and then he ran it until for a really long time. He ran it with another freed slave, so it was a paper that was started by freed slaves. So I wanted to look up articles that they had written, and this was an article that came up, because the person who wrote that, the person who watched these women and children and husbands and former Confederate soldiers march through Richmond with the Confederate flags all on every hand, is what it says, and watch them put up this statue of this man. This was a freed slave. This was the person who was in slavery and then had to watch this happen. And he wrote this so long ago. And so I was really proud that I was able to share that with quite a few people, because his words were written at a time where I'm sure that he felt helpless to be standing there and to be watching that happen in his town. So being a person who is a descendant of African American heritage, to be able to share that, share his words now in 2020 is such a powerful thing. And I was really happy to be able to share it. one of the places that I shared it was actually it was an article that one of my former interns had written. She'd written this beautiful piece about how she went and visited some plantations, and one plantation they made, it looked so beautiful, and they glossed over the slavery part, and the other one she went to, they went through the plantation for about 15 minutes, and then for the next hour or so they went in the slave quarters, and they learned about the 11,000 slaves that had died in Louisiana. And she posed the idea of having if it is that we want to remember the Civil War, to take down these statues of the people who lost the Civil War and replace it with things like Frederick Douglass or Sojourner Truth or Harriet Tubman, if that is the purpose of what those statues are, instead of putting up statues of people who have lost the war, to put up statues that represent what came out of the war, and how we were able to free people who were enslaved in our country. I just thought that was just such a beautiful point that she had made, and I think that it is interesting to couple that with this view that this person had, who was alive, who lived, who was a slave, who was freed, and had to watch that and had to witness that, and was able to write about that in a newspaper that he started at that time, which is absolutely amazing. So, seeing the good and the bad, I think, is something that God has taught me over the course of my life through all the trials that I've had to face, and I think that is a good. To be able to share that is a good.
And when I shared that with them, I know they're going to search it. These are young individuals just coming out of college, and they were like, wow, wow, that's something we haven't heard before or seen before. So they're really hungry. Like, I want to know this, because this is something, and like I told them, it is a knowing of yourself, who you are, understanding that you have been created with a purpose, and to stand up and live it out strong. All of us, for us to really see ourselves, our individual selves being created with a purpose. Come on now, we can get up and we can live. It's not living to beat someone else out. No, it's for me to live my life and just keep walking. No matter, like I said, how I'm feeling, kind of enclosed and trapped and this and that and the other. No, there's a purpose in all of this. So I need to get up and live it out to the best of my ability. And thank God for that.
And I know this week I had a conversation with someone close to me, and they were just kind of expressing their kind of frustration of what's going on and not really understanding. And when it came to the statues, I shared what my father shared with me, which I thought is really, said beyond the black and the white, this was a crime against the United States. This is the United States. So technically, these are statues erected of terrorists against the United States. So beyond how you feel about, and as every person, even Harriet Tubman and Frederick Douglass, there's somebody who had a terrible experience with Harriet Tubman. There's somebody who had a terrible experience with Frederick Douglass, because the rest of us are imperfect beyond the one who walked this earth who was perfect, and they nailed him to a cross. So, I mean, early this week, I don't know if you remember me talking about the blind man. And I was talking about the fact that I had this was at the end of last week, because we ended up looking at, there was a pool that they still have in Egypt, not in Egypt, over in Africa, where you can see
Jacob's
where this pool was.
Oh, the pool.
Yeah. This isn't Jacob's well. But it was several Olympic sizes long. And the guy was telling, he's like, this is where Jesus and them would have walked through, and this is where the blind man would have been sitting. And the thing that struck me about the whole story, and it was, Jesus took the clay and made the guy see, and that was wonderful. But after all that happened, the Pharisees and those religious leaders at that time came back and were like, they put the man outside of the gates, which in their day means that we as people are saying, you can't get to heaven. Canceled. You're canceled. That's what they said. You're canceled. And Jesus came to him and he asked him what happened, and he's like, well, when I told them that, you healed me and I can see now, they put me outside the gates. And he told him basically, no, you're not outside the gates. Like, bruh. And so they came to Jesus and they said, they asked Jesus, they said, are we blind? That's what the religious leader said to him, trying to trap him. And in John 9:41, Jesus said, if you were blind, you would have no sin. But you say, we see. Therefore, your sin remains. So kind of like where it put me in a place is, are we blind? Are we blind? And I mean, I love the fact that he wouldn't just like come at people, like, you're stupid, you're dumb, you're going to hell, I said it. Because he was the one person walking this earth who could say,
yeah, all of those things.
And he didn't. He would still pose a question and make you think about and use what? A mask just popped up on the screen, but just make you think about where you were going, and where you were coming from with what you said and what you did. My niece is popping up with a mask. But that was where the end of last week, where it started, are we blind?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, are we blind to what? Are we blind to the truth? Have we built up our own truth? And now, like we said, facts and truth. Have we built up our own facts and now we're blind to the truth?
And now, also in this day and age, information, you can find out things. I mean, you don't have to sit there and just, okay, or I don't like that. You can actually look it up for yourself. And you can see these things and then take it on in the ways that you see them to take on. And move on from there. These are truths.
Yeah.
And so we can either receive them or just walk away blind.
And this is like totally outside of, but this week something very, very amazing happened. On Monday, what I haven't shared with you guys, we had Pastor Sharon AG on a couple of weeks ago. And she said that she shared with us that she has a mentoring program she does on top of, as part of her ministry. And so at that time I told her, I was like, I want to talk to you after the show, because that was one of the things that I prayed about. And I actually had it on my vision board, which that board is crazy right now, because the board is crazy. But so me and her ended up linking up, and we talked after the show, and she's been mentoring me for a few weeks because I was looking for mentors who were more spiritually mature than me. And that was one of the things that I was like really, really looking for. And so she's been just talking with me about just life and everything, and helping me and just praying for me and helping me walk this out spiritually. And so this week, I have never had someone to prophesy over me. And when I say God spoke through her, because when we were talking, I just so happened to be, I had ran in the grocery store. I was trying to grab a couple things and the kids are in the car. And as she's speaking, everything she said lined up with the things that he has been telling me to do. Anything that I had been obedient in the past year or so, it was lining up. And all I could, I was trying not to bawl in the middle of the grocery store. Right down to her telling me, you know, so far as to share certain things and to not, it was amazing, because I was like, I just cried, because I said, there was a point when I said, I don't want to speak anymore. I've said it several times. I was like, I'm tired, I don't want to speak anymore. And I was feeling like different things, like at one point I even shared on my Twitter, I was like, I totally get why Moses was like, they're not going to believe it's you. So, you know, when he was really hesitant about even going. But I say all that to say, try a relationship. I know people, there's a lot of different things. And even down to this morning when I was doing my devotion, this little blog thing came up at the end of my devotion. You know, one of my other things was, you know, financial literacy and getting my finances together. And it was a Christian blogger called thekingdommillionaire.com. And he starts to talk about how he had tried everything to get himself together, and until he started to have a relationship, and he started saying the same things that I've been saying for like over the last year. And he said, for some reason, when I really started to devote that first, he said at first it was just 10 minutes of my day to God, that 10 minutes turned into 20, turned into 30. And he said, slowly he answered every question I had. And he said, the desires of my heart started to come to fruition. And he was like, so that thing that God has placed in you is not for nothing. It's there for a reason. And the book that he has, he was like, and the book is free. You pay for the shipping, it's free. So I am going to order his book. But I was just like, I was sitting there listening to him, and I was like, God is amazing, and the journey is truly crazy, beautiful.
Amen.
And I mean, I'm just really, really excited and expectant, because I know there is a lot of unrest and so much craziness going on. But as we just said, he always pulls the beautiful out of the crazy.
Yeah.
So when the crazy gets to that point that it's just all over the place, you know there's about to be gardens of beautiful just bursting left and right. So bring the crazy, because he'll use it to make beautiful, you know?
He will. He
So,
will.
but
Yeah.
Oh my
that,
goodness.
Well,
Yeah, I just had.
so, I was going to say from my week, but Mom, were you about to say something?
Go ahead.
Okay, so something kind of cool happened this week. I know we have our podcast, and my sister just mentioned Ari had popped up behind me. So if anyone's a first-time listener, I've got a 5-year-old named Ari, and she is just so special. I love my Ari. She's been through quite a bit, as we all have as a family. But this week, something really cool happened where she was a part of a podcast. So she was recorded for a podcast about emotional intelligence. And so the person was asking her lots of questions about what feelings mean and how she expresses that. And we ended up talking about Michael, because Ari was very young when we moved to Virginia to be close to my family. We lived in the house with my family. And she got to have a very special relationship with Michael, because we lived in the same house with Michael, and then he tragically did pass away in a car accident. And she, being a young child, everybody mourns differently, and as a child, she mourned as a child would mourn, so she would randomly cry, and, you know, has been doing a lot better with that. But there was one moment in particular that we talked about with the young lady, which was the moment that Ari said to me, Mommy, she just missed Michael so much, and she knew Michael was in heaven, so she said, Mommy, I wish a car would hit our car so that we could go and be with Michael. And at that moment, I had to pray to ask God to give me the words to speak, because my heart broke. My heart broke for my child who was trying to process this thing and thought that the best outcome was for her to not be here. And so God told me to tell her that he wasn't done with the plan that he had for her. And he reminded me of that after we had that conversation through my devotional this week. There was 2 different scriptures that actually came up that spoke to just that, about how God has a plan for us. And, you know, when it's our time to be with God, we'll be with him. But before that, he has a plan for us. So one was Genesis 28:15, where it says, I am with you and will watch over you wherever you go, and I will bring you back to this land. I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised you. And then he brought me Ephesians 2:10, which is, we are God's masterpiece. I'm going to say that again because it just tickled me when I read it, but we are God's masterpiece. He has created us anew in Jesus Christ so we can do the good things he planned for us long ago. So he not only reminded me that he has a plan for me, but also that the plan that he has for me, he created before I was born,
Amen.
before Ari was born.
Yep.
Yes.
He also reminded me that there are some rough times that you go through in life, and that he's with you, because this week was also June 26th. For me, before I met Ari's dad, I was married. I was married for a very long time, over a decade, and June 26th was my anniversary. So whenever that date comes up, I'm reminded of a part of my past, a whole life that I had that suddenly went away. And how much God held me through that situation, and how much he was there with me, and how much we grew close through that situation, and how he helped to guide me when I was in a dangerous situation, and when I needed to walk out, when I needed to leave, and not any time before that. And because it was a long time that I spent in that situation, where there was this uncertainty of what was going to happen with my marriage, I appreciate God being there with me. So he just reminded me that, you know, he's with us through the tough times that we face in this life every single day.
Amen.
And that he has a special plan for every single one of us. That life can be hard. Life can be very hard. But God is so much tougher than the things that we're going to face in this life. And then those rough times, that's when you can lean in and he can hold you and hug you and help you to get through those times. So just wanted to definitely encourage this week, is I was reminded this week how much God has done that for me.
Amen. Amen. Beautiful. Beautiful. What were you about to say?
Crazy beautiful.
Crazy beautiful.
Yes. I was going to say, it was about an emblem that reminds me of the story, and you guys know, call me Uncle Tom, but it is the point where Legree is whipping Tom. And this emblem has the words that Uncle Tom spoke to Legree. And the reason why it's so special to me is because the words he spoke are the words that I feel and I live. And the words are, on this emblem, it says, am I not a man? Am I not a woman? That's for me, personally. And a brother, a sister. Am I not a man, a woman, a brother, a sister? Because I see myself and all that I go through as a sister or as a woman. And, we talk about the things that we go through and how God brings us through and how His arms hold us and how He helps us to get through these times. Am I not a woman? Am I not a sister? And we share these things because we pray that others hear our stories and understand that there's no real difference in understanding our Father. Our Father. If we all put our eyes to our Father, just like we come together and we talk about the things, and where our eyes are towards our Father. And that's what you hear in these times of ups and downs in our lives. That's what keeps us. There's, so far as, oh, you're up here, you're down there, you're over there. No. Me and my girls, these are my daughters, but I look at my daughters as my sisters. As we continue, because there is so much of the understanding. With all, in the Word it says, with all thy getting, get understanding. And I believe that this brings us to some understanding. And I just want to give that out.
My last. I almost forgot about this one.
Where'd that fruit go?
It's over. Okay, so let me tell y'all. So I've been on this kick, like, trying different fruits and stuff. And really, you know what I was thinking today? I was like, why is it that I'm so... I shared, like, a couple of weeks ago that I'm still so excited because God really changed my... not just my palate, but, like, my want for certain foods. So instead of being, like... And I still like sweets and stuff, but it's not the same. Like I said... Before it would be fried everything, and now, like, the greens and the stuff that is nourishing me is just more appealing to me. So he, like, really just changed my appetite. But anyway, so I've been trying out different fruits, and if any of you guys know what the Rubiton fruit is, I went to a Korean grocery store today, and my mom thought I was going to get the durian fruit, the stinky fruit. Some of y'all know what that is, but sure. I will not be doing that because I've seen too many people.
You, Lord.
But anyway, I got some Rubiton and I got a dragon fruit, and I actually got the canned jackfruit because I'm just afraid of cutting the jackfruit. And so she's like looking at the fruit like it's weird, and I keep telling her it's good. It tastes like a grape. I don't want to like sit here and be sloshing in the background of the podcast, but it tastes like a grape mixed with a pear. But on the outside, it looks airy and strange.
Yeah, it does. It does. Let's just be honest with you, okay?
Anywho's, the other story that had me going this week was the woman at the well, and actually, the little message we're gonna watch after is from Pastor Stephen Furtick, his Father's Day message, which was about the woman at the well. And y'all, I know I usually say if you have time, check it out. I implore you, check out this message, because he just really allowed God to speak through him on this message. This message had me snotty and crying, because right after, Sharon said what she said, then I watched the message. Like, I just clicked on the message. I was like, oh, they posted this message, and it was confirmation of everything she said, backing it up. It was overwhelming. Kiara just fell off the table. Mom knocked her down with her foot.
I did not.
But the woman at the well. So he went back into telling the story of the woman at the well. and he went into who the woman at the well, what well she was at, and the fact that she was at the well, Jacob's well. So, there you go. Sorry. She was at Jacob's well, which is the well that Jacob gave to Joseph. And this well still exists to this day, so you can actually go, and he was saying you can go and drink from this well, the well that Jesus met this woman at. So he goes into the whole story, but the thing that was interesting to me was that Jesus selected this woman. And this woman that society looked at as a harlot, or however you want to put it, because she was ashamed, she was tired, and didn't even want to be around people. That's why she went to the well in the middle of the day when nobody would be there. And he took this woman and he made her an evangelist in one conversation, because he told her, go back and tell the people. And the verse that struck me was John 4:42, because after she shared with the people, then Jesus came, and him and the disciples stayed for a while, and he spoke with the people. And the people said to her, they said to the woman, now we believe, not because of what you said, for we have heard for ourselves and know that this man is indeed the Christ, the Savior of the world. So in us telling our stories, what God can do with that is to give people a hunger to know for themselves. Yeah. And what a joy to have people say, hey, yeah, I might have cracked that Bible open or listened to something different because I ran across you guys talking on the podcast, or we had a conversation, and you sharing your story was really empowering to me. But then I went, and now I have my own story to tell. Mm-hmm. So it's not just your story, but because now I've tasted for myself, and that's what you really, at the heart of it, you want people to have that peace. I don't need you to applaud my story and be like, oh, you're so great. I want you to get curious and go get it for yourself. I want you to go get it for yourself. So that verse, I was like, Mom, I remember running and being like, Mom, Dad, yo, the end of the woman at the well story is crazy, because she actually became an evangelist, and that's not what she was setting out to do. She was just setting out to get a drink. And oh, did she get a drink? Oh, did she get a drink? Yeah. But this week has been, beyond that, really, really good. I've been creating a lot of really dope music, and just, vibing with my kids and my family, and just enjoying this time. And the other day I had a thought, because Dad was calling me, and I was at the front door trying to get in, and I looked down and I smiled, and I thought about the fact that, goodness, all of the times when your family calls you, my mom always says, am I bothering you? Because I can call you back and she'll go to hang up or whatever.
Yeah, that's how she starts every single conversation.
Because
it's one thing to say,
like,
hey, do you have a minute?
I asked you to call me, and she'll be like, am I bothering you?
But I thought about the fact of the times when I really have been like, oh my gosh, because my family, we do a group text, and you'll hear the bling, 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 bling. And there'll be times when I'm listening to music or whatever, and I'm like, you guys, give it a break. And I thought, as I looked at my dad's name come up on my phone, please bother me. Because what a joy it is to see each and every one of your names come up. So please bother me.
I feel you. I actually found this picture of our niece, Scarlett. She's really little, and she was standing in front of Ari, and she was looking up, and she's making this really cute face, and she just looks so adorable. And I looked in the background, and I realized in the background were Michael's feet. And I knew it was Michael's feet, because my brother had very distinctive ways of dressing. So I knew it was him. And it made me cry because I put hearts on every picture that I have of him in my phone. I didn't have a heart on that picture, obviously because it was just his feet. But at that moment, it just was like, you know, to your point, I used to push him out of pictures all the time because he would make like the worst faces. And so like I even have pictures that he snuck into, making these like super weird faces. It's like, what are you doing? And so now I search for pictures that have any piece of him, even if it's just his feet. So yeah, it's like appreciate the love, the awesomeness that God has given you in family, especially if you have a family that is loving. I realize that what we have in many cases is an anomaly. To have a mom and a dad together who came from moms and dads that were together, who love each other and love all of us.
Yeah.
And being brothers and sisters who actually get along and love each other.
Yeah.
I fully understand that is an anomaly. If you have any piece of that, celebrate it, love it, appreciate it, because life is going to change. Life flips back and forth, just like a quarter.
Yeah.
It gets good and bad. It's just, that's how life is. It just keeps flipping. So when you have it good, appreciate it. When it's bad, know that God says that the good that he has planned for you far exceeds what you are currently experiencing. So look towards that and know that whatever that bad is, the worse it gets is the better that he has planned for you. So celebrate in whatever attacks you're going through, because it just means that God's blessings are going to be that much better, that much stronger, that much more awesome when they come. So I just want to give that little bit of encouragement too.
Amen. Amen, sis. Well, ladies, shall we get into the songs?
Song time!
So who wants to go first? The remote is all the way over there, but we'll get
I got my
it.
song.
Okay,
I got my song.
All right.
So I only have one song this week.
Okay.
That's also why I want to go first, because I'm sure Tricey probably has a few.
No.
So my song of the week is Before the Morning by Josh Wilson. I had a lot of songs I was kind of batting around with this week, but this one I thought was so beautiful and so fitting for the things that we are talking about today and some of the things we've gone through this week.
Awesome. I cannot wait. So we are about to get into Before the Morning by Josh Wilson. And as usual, all of the songs will be pinned in the bottom in the description, so you can go ahead and check them out, as well as the scriptures that we have. We just give you where you can check those out as well. So we will be right back. That was so nice.
Yes.
So nice.
Thank you, Kiara.
Yeah, I love the
Yes.
words in that song.
Yeah.
Just daring to believe and, knowing that God is with you. It's just a very, very uplifting song. It popped up in my round that I have workouts. And I was like, this is just so good. Sometimes you just need that reminder.
Yeah. Very uplifting song.
You go next, Tricey, because I don't know if I have one.
Okay. So I actually only had 2 songs this week.
What?
I mean, I thought of one when you were talking, Kiara, but so, and my first song, I have to actually search it out because, what is their name? Maverick City Music. They released a new one yesterday, and I was listening to it, and my first time listening to it, I was just in it, oh yes. And my second song, actually the first song I think I'm going to play, is actually a song that I recorded this week called Egypt. And it's so interesting because I played it for 3 of my brothers and sisters. And 2 of them, which Kiara and Mom will know exactly, the 2 said it was dope.
Yes, we know.
One of them said it's crazy. The song is crazy good. And then the third one said, you were flat, and there were some rhythm issues, but then I had to think about where she was coming from, and she was like, and I would like if you would just pronounce all of the words really more thoroughly so that I can, and I was like, but she was coming from a show choir background, because I was like, yeah, and I was listening to what she was saying, and then I started listening to the song, and I was like, there's some places that I do want to like re-record, but this song is more of a song of feeling. And it's a different genre of music, that's all.
Mm-hmm.
So for recording for a not even show choir, but for like a musical type, you need to pronounce, you need to make sure you should not go flat, you got to hit the notes, it has to flow perfectly because it is for a show. And then when you're in like more of a folksy bluesy place, if you come at it with perfect diction and everything is perfect, it loses the realness. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, it's like, oh, are you singing somebody else's words and you're just trying to make it sound pretty? So it's like, okay, I get where she's coming from, but I still appreciate all of their feedback, and I appreciate them even listening. And this song itself, one of the things that was said to me this week was that in your music, there will be healing for you, but there will be healing through you. And I was like, okay, cool. And this song talks about, if you guys have listened to the podcast, you heard me a couple weeks ago talk about the children of Israel and how they get on my nerves. And I had to come to the fact that sometimes we are the children of Israel, and sometimes we're Moses. So, but how God basically got to the point where he said to them, why are you crying out to me? I already told you what to do. Go. Like, why are we having this discussion again? And I totally get him on that part, because you know me, I don't like talking about the same thing over and over.
Yes.
So the first song that I'll be playing is called Egypt, and you could actually check it out on my channel, and maybe somewhere else pretty soon. I don't know. So, but we're gonna get into Egypt, and we'll be right back. That's it.
It was dope. You were a little flat though.
I was a lot flat, all over the place. I was.
I really liked it.
But yeah,
It was nice. It was nice.
that song it's
The Great Redeemer.
The Great Redeemer. Yeah. But my next song is a song from Maverick City Music, which I don't know the title of it, so I'll just have to put it in the description. I'll tell you guys when we get back what the title is. And we will be right back after this. Okay, that was Wilder
Yes.
by Tribble Music. I call it Maverick City Music.
Yeah, because it comes out with
Maverick City Music, yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, that is their latest one. They've been releasing quite a few.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Yes.
Well, I've listened to music this week, but I hadn't written it down and everything. A lot of the music that's just been hitting me this week. Your dad and I have been listening to oldies and different things like that. Because with Father's Day and everything, and just trying to give him more of his variances of music and everything, and a lot of conversing. We've been talking a lot more this week and all, but yeah, I was telling Tricey, and well, I don't know if you heard me, Kiara, my back is really like not feeling too good, so we'll pray about that when we come to close here. But I don't really have a major song.
It's okay.
Yeah, so yeah.
It's okay. And the last song that I'm going to give you guys, we're not going to listen to it here today, but Kiara, she, in one of the verses in Ephesians 2:10 that she was talking about, a masterpiece, there's a song by Tori Kelly featuring Lecrae called Masterpiece that I love. That is a really upbeat song, and I suggest you guys check it out, because it is one of those that reminds you that, you know, you are his masterpiece.
Yes.
You are his masterpiece. So we are going to actually go ahead and close out. We're going to pray. We'll wrap it up. And Kiara's dancing. And so we are just so thankful that the Lord allows us to have this time with you guys, and we're so thankful to have this time together, and in the ways that he's speaking and he's moving. The one thing that I wrote down today in my devotional that I said I was gonna share was, if I could get to it, it's really simple. I always write stuff over and over, or just like really simple stuff, for God's will, God's purpose, God's plan, God's time. God's will, God's purpose, God's plan, God's time. And we just thank him for it. We thank him for just being God. And so we pray that everyone under the sound of my voice is blessed this coming week. We pray that he opens our hearts, our minds, and we thank him for his provision. We thank him for his direction. His love, yes, his peace. And we just pray that this week be a week of blessings upon blessings, that you guys just receive wisdom from God this week, and that you know, for all of us, that we open up and listen and we move the way he has us to move, and just allow him to do what he does, which is be God. And we thank you again. We can't thank you enough for this time, for each other, for the love between us, for your love for us. And we will see you guys. And we will see you guys next week for another crazy, beautiful podcast. Bye. Don't forget to try some strange fruit this week.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Don't do